WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network presents the Relationship Ready Mind Talk Show with transformational life coach, Angela Kane.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Relationship Ready Mind Talk Show. You're listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. My name's Angela Kane, and I'm a transformational mentor and coach, and I help people create a wonderful, happy, and empowered relationship with the most important person in their life, themselves. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I do hope you enjoy the topic that I have for you today, which is all about value, all about how we value ourselves, our self-worth, and our self-esteem. Self-worth is a deep knowing that you are valuable, that you matter, that you're lovable, and that you are entitled, as much as anyone else, to experience all the good that life has to offer. I've noticed all too often the vast majority of people move from a period early on in life where all seems right with the world to a progressively diminished capacity to experience their dream lives. This transition from joy and hope to apathy, resignation and despair is often a gradual one. It may start out with an assault to how they see themselves as progressively more unworthy, unlovable, and incapable of accessing all the good things that life can hold for us. We make decisions, judgments, and misinterpretations are formed that don't support our happiness, our relationships, and personal power or our charisma. Each assault that we experience to who we are as inherently magnificent, lovable, capable, and competent individuals leaves an invisible but often indelible imprint on who we are at our core. This is called our cellular memory. Cellular memory, as the name implies, is basically the memory that resides inside the cells within the body. Every single one of the cells in our body actually has a memory of its own. Each of the cells within the body stores information related to past experiences, both positive and negative. And this truth applies to every aspect of your life in both the physical and the metaphysical world, meaning it can affect your body directly in the form of sickness or disease, as well as metaphysically through things that you attract, like relationships. Our energy shifts along with our thoughts about who we are, who others are in relation to us, and even how we view the universe and the world. Each experience clouds our self-belief and how we see others in regard to competing with us for all of our most important survival needs. We may consciously even forget the details of any one of the many upsets we experience on a daily basis, but our cells remember each and every traumatic occurrence. In fact, we retain them as energy that becomes part of who we are, even shifting our brain chemistry, bodily health, the energy we emit to others, as well as who we are fundamentally at our core. Primary factor that impacts this cellular memory when it comes to being able to direct our lives forward powerfully is our self-esteem and our self-worth. The definition of self-esteem, I believe, is different from the commonly held belief that equates to high self-esteem with high ego. In fact, the two couldn't be more dissimilar. People who focus excessively on their own needs at the expense of others and lack concern or appreciation for what it's like in the other person's world do not possess high self-esteem. They possess a high ego. This damages their personal effectiveness and diminishes their charisma. So the notion that by building self-esteem, we're building egomaniacs couldn't be more false. Those possessing high self-esteem actually care about others. They see the world from a win-win perspective and live by the golden rule: do unto others as they would wish to be done to themselves. Individuals that possess high self-esteem display personal power. They're able to influence others by who they are and the energy they put forth, out into the world. Their aura exudes influence and charisma, and this very attractive energy is part of who they are at their core. Their cells possess authentic, energetic memories that speak to who they've become. Others want to be around this energy and listen and follow and respect those who possess it. People with great self-esteem feel significant. That is, they matter to themselves and to others. They're readily accepted by others, looked up to by them, and have the attention and affection of other people. They love freely and are loved in return. This love exudes from their being and is an integral part of who they are at a core soul level. Those people possessing high self-esteem are also virtuous. They feel good about the person they are from a moral perspective, and this goodness is apparent to others. In contrast, though, those who lack sufficient self-esteem or self-worth often feel ashamed of the person they've become. They may feel sleazy, embarrassed, so that their true, flawed nature will be discovered by others. They put on an act or present a false facade that attempts to conceal who they believe they are at their core from those who may find them out. This tendency to want to hide their inner flawed nature causes others to see them as inauthentic, and it detracts from their charm and personal power. Also, those possessing high self-esteem are confident in their approach to life and its challenges. They have faith in their ability to translate their ideas into tangible manifestations. They have the ability to envision a result and produce this intention with vigour. This allows them to go through life enjoying a high degree of personal power and the ability to control their destiny to a far greater extent than those lacking self-worth. They possess the ability to see a bright future as inevitable, and as a result, they're able to generate the prerequisite self-motivation needed to overcome any obstacles and bring about their desired intentions. Our self-worth influences our cellular memory in several significant ways. In fact, it empowers our being with positive hope and expectation in all areas of life. These cellular memories transform us and how we experience our life. They're at the source of our peace of mind, and also can result in the negative, emotionally reactive state that damage our relationships and kill our ability to communicate effectively. They drive us to see and experience the world in a way that's consistent with our prior and all too often distorted perceptions. Before long, like air to the bird or water to the fish, we lose sight of who we are and what surrounds us in our life experience. Our perceptions not only define us, but guarantee that we will attract to us more experiences that are consistent with our expectations. And so right now we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned because we'll be right back to discuss this absolutely imperative topic of our self-worth and our self-esteem.
Hi everyone, this is Lisa Copeland, the host of the You Can Find Love After 50 show. You can catch my show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, where we'll talk about how you can find love after 50 on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Relationship Ready Mind talk show with me, Angela Kane. And before the break, we were talking about our self-esteem, our self-worth, and our value in the world, and how we see our own value.
This is Cece Schatz, and I'm an inspirational speaker, divorce, life, and transitional coach with a unique style of healing from within. With that, been here, done that approach to life. I hope you'll join me each and every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece, where we bring you educational, informative discussions through the devastation feelings of divorce to finding yourself and redefining your best life. We will take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of divorce, parenting, being single, relationships, dating, and yes, sex. So be sure to tune in every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece.
So before we become our experiences and our cells transform chemically and energetically and in alignment with our cellular memories, we become resigned that that's just how I am, or that's just how other people are, or that's just the way the world is. And we lose sight that we made it all up. We created a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that becomes energetically who we've become. And simultaneously, we forfeit our ability to manifest a more rewarding and more fulfilling outcome for ourselves and our life. We suffer as we want the things we don't have and have those things that we don't want. We, in fact, forget that we created our own reality and still possess the ability to create a new and more rewarding one, simply by living from a new and empowering declaration that accurately describes the person we've decided to be. The good news is that the transformation you seek to shift who you are at a core cellular level can be as simple as following some exercises and principles that I'll share with you. By taking back your responsibility for every aspect of your life, and by changing your thoughts and expectations, by suspending judgment and shifting your energy while losing your attachment to the ways we think things should be. We can shift our energy field, reformat our cellular memory, and deliberately go about the process of elevating our self-esteem and manifesting a new and magnificent reality for every area of our life. And I invite you to trust that you have the ability to return yourself to your inherent magnificence. Give up your right to invalidate yourself and others. Decide to live in love and positive expectation. Champion the self-worth of others and watch your own grow as a result. And by all means, enjoy the process. A happy person of high intrinsic value and contribution is able to produce a worthwhile result. People possessing this quality have confidence not only in themselves, but also in their ability to influence others in a positive manner. They act decisively and show respect for others by taking responsibility for their actions rather than casting blame and avoiding risk and fear of failure. As human beings, we're all magnificent by nature. We possess the ability to overcome obstacles, to achieve meaningful accomplishments, to honour our most important values, and attain happiness and contribute our gifts to others. In short, we can take responsibility for making our lives work. Unfortunately, through the course of experiencing life's challenges, we often lose sight of these facts. From birth and continuing through our lifetime, we encounter countless experiences that either enhance our self-worth or erode it. The process of diminishing our self-worth begins with a simple observation that we somehow don't measure up. We judge ourselves as different and deficient in some way. We decide that we don't belong. And from this point, our lives unfold in accordance with our expectations. These expectations directly relate to how we feel about ourselves. Either we're worthy of all the good things life can offer, or we're not, and we deserve pain and suffering because we lack value. When we judge ourselves harshly, we dramatically diminish our ability to merit love and achieve the success and abundance the world reserves for those most valuable. When we base our actions upon the belief that we lack what it takes to deserve rich relationship, material wealth and happiness. We trigger the very things we fear most. As our self-worth insidiously continues to diminish, we find ourselves incapable of directing our lives and fortunes productively. Resignation sets in like dry rot, killing our spirit. This ensures that deeming ourselves as undeserving will viciously cycle into results consistent with this expectation and reinforce our sense of worthlessness. The lower our self-worth drops, the less likely we are to act in a way that will generate positive feedback to elevate our deteriorating self-worth. For most human beings, for a certain time after birth, life is good. Our parents meet our every need while providing us with the love and security we come to depend upon to develop into self-assured, well-adjusted individuals. And early in life, we learn to attach a value to the identity we create for ourselves. Something happens, though, during this process of self-discovery, sometime between birth and adolescence, to have us begin the process of judging ourselves harshly. Whether an event occurs or someone makes a remark, somehow we decide that we do not measure up in some way. This psychological trauma or series of traumas can range in severity from an abusive experience to a simple misinterpretation. For some, it may involve sexual or physical abuse or the experience of being abandoned or terrorized. It may start with just a simple spanking or be as extreme as a beating. Something happens that plants the idea that we're not worth loving. The event need not look severely traumatic to anyone else. To be damaging, it just needs to disturb the inner peace and identity of the person experiencing it. In any event, the result is the same. We start to compare our essential self to others and to feel bad about who we are in that comparison. This negative self-opinion begins distorting our relationship to others. Seeing ourselves as inadequate, we now respond differently to daily situations. Our results match our distorted self-image. This reinforces our feelings of unworthiness by providing us with concrete evidence to justify them. In short, we have created a self-fulfilling prophecy. The label we give to describe our condition further compounds our feeling of inadequacy. Our self-worth suffers more. So before we know it, we've built into our lives as fact that we are not good enough and are surely unworthy of love, abundance, and happiness. This self-judgment brings with it enormous pain for us because our inherent human nature has us instinctively seek out pleasure and avoid pain. We alter our behaviour in an effort to avoid further rejection, barraging our internal conversations with constant criticisms and warnings. We protect ourselves from potentially painful relationships and avoid communication, interaction, and risk. We give up on our dreams and lower our expectations for fear of being hurt. We settle for less and then justify our actions to protect us from further harm. Resignation and the slow, subtle death of our spirit with the resulting loss of vitality inevitably results from our worsening self-opinion. Loss of self-worth can pervasively infiltrate every aspect of life, or it can be limited to particular situations or circumstances. The latter occurs when you determine that you're inadequate in some domain, but not others. Perhaps you might feel good about who you are in business matters, but suffer a poor physical self-image, thinking you're unattractive. Maybe you realise you excel in sport, but you have little self-confidence socially. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, areas where we feel confident and others where we feel lacking what it takes to fit in and to do well. This limited type of diminished self-worth, relegated to one or a few specific arenas, can be much more easily managed and addressed. In contrast, the all-encompassing loss of self-worth, where we feel unworthy of happiness and not good enough to compare with others in most areas of our life, is much more devastating. This pervasive loss of self-worth can become a rapidly progressing self-fulfilling prophecy. We compare ourselves to others and find countless ways that we don't measure up. As we judge ourselves to be inferior, we blame ourselves for everything that goes wrong. We try harder and harder for perfection. We can't shake the destructive feeling that everything we do is inadequate. We constantly amplify our weaknesses and label ourselves as stupid, ugly, hopeless, and unlovable. Our smallest mistake or oversight gets magnified in our eyes to the point where we lose faith in our abilities to communicate, to relate, and to perform effectively. We fall into the trap of thinking that the entire world sees us as being as pathetic as we see ourselves. This has us misinterpret people's generally harmless words and actions, thinking that they're pointing out how pitiful we really are. We constantly overreact to situations and statements because everything feels like a personal attack on our inadequacies, on our downfalls. Others then perceive us as strange and notice that our energy is off. Their reaction reinforces our fears. We damage our relationships and alienate ourselves further. This proves us right about how we saw ourselves in the first place and further erodes our ability to connect with others. The more the self-sabotage occurs, the less able we are to interact effectively. But the good news is that you have the ability to reinvent yourself. You can elevate your self-worth and lead a fulfilling life. And it all starts with a decision. So I challenge you to adopt an intention, to apply the principles. And next week, we're going to be discussing some suggested exercises. And if you do them, they will transform your life and restore your self-worth. So you absolutely do not want to miss next week's show. So I ask you now to not lose hope. We can reverse the downward spiral of diminishing self-worth by identifying how we've lost confidence in ourselves. We can stop the erosion of our self-image. And in doing so, will allow us to focus on restoring the magnificence that is our true nature. That's our birthright. Restoring confidence in ourselves and in our ability to achieve happiness and fulfillment and tap into the world's abundance will soon follow. Path to raising self-worth is to recognize the painful past and leave it behind, to effectively manage negative self-talk, and to deliberately design a future that's consistent with the person you have decided to be, a person you can be proud to know and to love. I do hope that you found this information valuable today, because self-worth, self-belief, and how we value ourselves is absolutely imperative to forming successful and happy relationships and to living a happy and successful life. But if you've any questions about what we've talked about today or about anything else you're struggling with, please drop me a line. You can email me at angela@angelakane.com, or you can contact me via my website, which is angelakane.com. Or you can simply just click the Ask Angela tab on the show's page. I'd like to thank you so much for listening again today. I know that your time is valuable, and I do so appreciate you spending some of it with me. But please don't forget to tune in again next week, when we're going to be looking at some exercises we can do to start valuing ourselves more and to raise our self-worth and our self-belief. You're listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network, and the Relationship Ready Mind Talk Show with me, Angela Kane. So until next time, many blessings and bye for now.